Good day, everyone. In our previous lecture, we understood the role of the frame in a drone and during the flight. Let's now understand what should the dimensions of the frame be. In our today's lecture, we will see what are the typical sizes of the drone, how is the size measured, and how does the size change from application to application. Let's look at it in detail in our upcoming lecture. Drones come in a variety of different sizes, from nano, which are smaller than the palm of your hand, to mega, which can only be transported in the bed of a truck. Although both very large and very small drones may get quite a bit of attention, they are not necessarily the most practical for hobbyists. For most users who are getting started in the field, a good size range which offers the most versatility and value is between 350 mm to 700 mm. This measurement represents the diameter of the largest circle which intersects all of the motors. Not only do parts for drones in this size range come in a variety of different prices, there is by far the greatest selection of products available. Smaller drones are not necessarily less expensive than medium sized ones. This is largely due to the fact that the technology and time needed to produce small brushless motors or small brushless motor controllers is the same for smaller parts or the larger ones. The prices for the additional electronics, such as the flight controller, remote control, camera, etc., tend not to change at all. The frame is normally one of the least expensive parts of the drone. So, although the frame for smaller UA drones can maybe half the price of the larger one, the overall price with all the parts needed may still be very close to each other. Generally speaking, from 180 mm to 250 mm is the most popular frames. More bigger one is from 280 mm to 800 mm, even more. If you want to stay indoors, you need to keep it under 120 mm for safety reasons as you don't want to lose an eye. If you are building a racing drone, you will need a bigger frame to accommodate larger, more powerful motors to fly faster. When building a smaller quadcopter, you will first be saving money on components as smaller components are usually cheaper. With a lighter frame under 250 grams, you won't be restricted by possible regulations. Furthermore, if you have the option to fly inside using a quadcopter, a quadcopter will need to be smaller, usually under 100 mm. When flying smaller quadcopters outdoors, you get more flexibility as you can fly in smaller spaces, and when you improve, it will be easier to practice flying through tight spaces. However, there are some disadvantages to smaller frames. It is harder to solder the smaller components, and you obviously have a lot less room on the frame to mount everything. Smaller frames also have shorter flight times, with a typical 100 mm build only flying for about 6 minutes maximum. With a larger quadcopter, you will have higher flexibility with what size components you can use on your frame. You can also use larger, more powerful motors, giving you more speed and acceleration. Larger frames are also easier to work on as you have more space to mount all the electronics. This makes things a lot cleaner, allowing you to use bigger components that are easier to solder. Also, because of the extra space and more powerful motors, you can also have the option to mount a GoPro camera to record your flying in HD. When we talk about sizes, how is the size of the drone actually measured? The frame size of a drone is the distance from the opposite corner motors. So if you measure from front left motor to the back right motor, that distance in millimeters is the frame size. The only thing here is that sometimes manufacturers round it up or down. So they might call it a 180 frame, but really it is a 175 mm from motor to motor. Not a huge deal unless you are super picky about details like that. Another way to classify the frame sizes is based on what you are going to do with them. Drones that are used for aerial cinematography are generally bigger than many quads because they have to carry more stuff. They are usually equipped with a camera and a gimbal. The DJI Phantom 4 has a frame size of 350 mm, You probably wouldn't want to go too much smaller than this if you plan on using your drone for high quality picture and video. If you get into FPV racing, you'll have to have a limit on the drone size on between 200 to 400 mm. Usually, the military drones can have bigger sizes since they need to be rugged and able to carry payloads, whereas indoor drones are restricted. Outdoor drone sizes are restricted by the regulations, which we will cover while understanding the regulations. To summarize, we understood about what the size of the drones should be and what are the standard size of the drones. How do we measure the size of the frame based on the function of the drone? In our next lecture, we will look at the next aspect of the frame, which is the material of the frame. Thank you very much.